We talked about, this is Corella Frickman McLean at welcome.com. We talked about the O, the vowel O, and the different sounds of the vowel O. Before we talk about the U, A-E-I-O-U, before we talk about the U, I want to talk about a diphthong, and it's the O-W, a very, very, very important diphthong in English, because it has so many basic words with the English language. Many basic words of the English language contains this diphthong, the O-W, and also for sound. Because as you well know, that any diphthong, not most diphthongs, many diphthongs, like the vowels, have more than one sound. So let's look at the diphthong O-W. I'm going to share my screen with you. And here it is. So here the diphthong O-W sounds like O, like the long O sound. And in fact, in some of the cards, when you're dealing with the long O, you have the diphthong O-W. Very important word, know, to know. Do. Now you have the O-W and you have the O-U. Sometimes, just like the E-E and the E-A, sometimes have the same sound. Well, sometimes the O-W and the O-U have the same sound, but not all the time. You cannot exchange, for example, D-O-U-G-H with D-O-W-G-H. If someone saw D-O-W-G, they wouldn't know how to pronounce it, because you can't exchange it. Toe. Now, this is the toe with the O-W. There is a toe also. You can look it up, T-O-E, pronounced exactly the same toe. Bow. Now, this is interesting. The reason I know how to pronounce it is that I see in the phonetic, where the phonetic letters are, the phonetic symbols for the long O sound. O sound. But if I didn't, I wouldn't know how to pronounce it, because B-O-W has two sounds, has two distinct pronunciation. One is bow, the other is bow. To bow, ow. So you can see why you can have here a homograph. You have the same diphthong or letter blend, O-W, but O-W has two sounds. So if the O-W is pronounced like an O, it's bow, O. If the O-W is pronounced like the owl, it's bow, owl. Two different words, same spelling, exactly the same spelling, but the first place they have two different meanings, and second place they have two different pronunciation. That's why it's important to understand pronunciation, phonetics in English, in order to understand how homophones and homographs can exist, how minimum pairs can exist. That's why it's very important to understand how the language is pronounced and why the language is pronounced the way it is. And because language is such a mixture of different Germanic languages, in the beginning, it's different Germanic languages. Then later on top of that, as a result of 1066, Northern French. Then on top of that, in the late Middle Ages, you have Parisian French influence. Then during the Renaissance, you have, because it looked before, during the Renaissance, you have what? You have Latin and ancient Greek influence. And all of this is stirred up into the pot, and you have English. Flow, thorough. So, once again, two different pronunciations, so and sow, ow, like bow and bow. Grow, own, own. This is my own problem. Yellow, oh. Now, this is British English because they add the U. American English just does not. American English, it would be M-O-L-D. But the Brits, being closer to French, it's the Americans who changed. It's not the Brits. It was the Americans because originally it was M-O-U-L-D here. And in some parts of the United States, it is M-O-U-L-D where they have the British pronunciation. And my generation, and the generation of my father and my grandfather, it was quite common to spell it O-U. So mold, old. Yep. Blow. Very important verb, irregular. The irregular past tense. Yeah, not the past participle. Past participle is blown, but the irregular past tense is a homophone of the color blue. It's blue. B-L-E-W, blue, and blue. The color is B-L-U-E, bleu in French. That's French harbor. Growth. Oh, sorry, I always do that. Snow. Below. Hollow. So we're looking at the O-W when it has the long O sound to it. Although. Very important word in English, although. It's the beginning of, it's one of the beginnings of a dependent clause. Although you speak French, that's a dependent clause, comma, you don't understand me. Crow. Crow is a black bird, but also there's an expression to eat crow when you have to admit that you've done wrong. Mellow, to be mellow. Mellow, yellow, oh. To owe someone money. Gallow, where you hang someone. Mouldy, British English, because in American English there is no U. Mow, to mow the lawn. Narrow, not to be wide. So, thought, ought. Fellow, sought, ought. Low, fallow, to not bother, to leave fallow for a year so that it can grow crops again, talking about land. Soul is a homophone, and it has two pronunciations. So it has two spellings, S-O-U-L, that's the soul. Well, it's not in one's body, but in Christendom, they talk about, in Christianity, they talk, not Christendom. In Christianity, they talk about one's soul. And also soul is associated many times with the Black community, the African-American community. Soul, like soul music, that's an expression they used in the 60s. Soul food associated with Black Americans. But soul can also be S-O-L-E, soul. Halloween. just before All Saints Day. No, All Saints Day and All Souls Day. Or Dia de los Muertos, right? Dia de los Muertos. American English row. Row is a line of something. Let's say a row of chairs, a line of chairs, one directly behind another, row. The British also say row, but for the British, this is a homograph because ROW has two distinct pronunciations. One is row, like in American English, a row of chairs. And then if you're having an argument, they say row, ow. Americans, they know that word because of BBC and because in the United States you get British shows, but we would say argument. We wouldn't say you're having a row. If you did, somebody would say, oh, you're trying to be British. Sown, bowl, cough, barrow, billow, follow, source, slow. I've seen SLOE, but that's someone's name. So I don't know if that's a homophone or not. SOLE, and also SLOW. Shown, tomorrow, soul, Korea, glow, bought, bellow, lawnmower, mow, borrow, though, like although, it is the beginning of a dependent clause. Though you are my brother, comma, ought, ought. You use it. I think it's considered much more informal than should. You ought to do something, you should do something. And once again, to the beginning, no. So we're talking about the long O sound in English, the long O sound, but using the OW. And we talked about how the long O has different pronunciation, but in these cards, you're only talking about the long O sound. So once again, this is Corella Ficklin McLean at Welcome WYLCONE. Please subscribe to my channel and let other people know about this, especially people who want to teach English, especially if you want to teach English and you want to go abroad and you want to live off of that income. You want to be the best English teacher possible because you want to make more than $10 or $20 an hour. You can make very good money if you are good. I think they make you now have a TOEFL, TESOL or ESL certificate or whatever. But if you want to have one of those, you have to be able to pass the test. So this will help you be able to explain why certain words and certain concepts exist. So this is Corella Ficklin McLean. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I wish you have a good day. And thank you and share.